So today I'm going to show you how to shift weight from one set of axles to the other, moving weight around for the trailer onto the tractor, vice versa, and least amount of work and get you legal to go across the scale. Basically, when you want to slide the tandems, the rear tandems on the trailer, they run on a rail, and basically you can move them all the way to the back, or you can move them all the way up to the front, or in my case, probably up to the skirting there. But in some states, you can only move so far back. California is one of them, basically in the middle of that axle right there. And a lot of times they'll have an arrow here, but it's 10 feet from there back to the back of the trailer. And when they say to the back of the trailer, they mean not here, but like the furthest point. And a lot of times I find that these little arrow things are wrong. I'm in Washington right now, so it doesn't really matter where I got it. So I'm gonna show you how to do this. Basically under here, you can see that you got your pin there, and then you got another pin down the way here, down by the other axle. And it's the same thing. Let's see if I can, it might be a little too dark, but it's the same thing on both sides. And basically by pulling this lever right here, you pull, those pins will pull in. Now, a lot of times they won't pull in. They'll just stay right there. But when you go to move the truck, like forward and backwards a little bit, then I suppose they're spring loaded, they'll pop in. Sometimes you'll get some stubborn ones that don't want to. You can see, actually you can tell that somebody has lubed this one. You can see the staining all over it. And you can do the same thing. You can, you can see the staining and everything. You can spray like a lubricant up in there. But basically what's going on here is these tandems, the further they are to the back of the trailer, the more weight you're putting on those tandems right there. If you could think of it like a teeter-totter, you put the fulcrum point in the middle and you can balance the beam right there on it. You move it, left, let's say pretty far, pretty soon that right end will just fall to the ground because there's more weight there. It's being transferred. Well, the same kind of thing here. Basically, we slide these all the way back. And if you're in a state that you can legally do so. And then all this weight, good majority of this weight is going to shift to that front there. Now, they say that every notch or every hole here, I think some of them say 500 pounds, 250, 300, I don't know. Really, I wouldn't pay much attention to all that. I mean, yeah, you could probably figure it somewhere around 400 pounds. It's going to be different for every trailer. But the point is, every time you go a notch, figure out what your trailer normally would be. If it's 350 pounds, then just figure 2 notches back. Let's say you move this back 2 notches towards the rear. Then that means you're going to put 700 pounds more on there. And that also means there's going to be 700 pounds less on these axles. And then the same thing in reverse, if you need to move these forward. You get the weight off the tractor. One of the things to remember is that as far as the weight goes back here, wherever you move this, once it's there, it's not going to change. It's going to stay that unless you shift the load or something by slamming the brakes on. But when it comes to up here in the front, now that's different. Fuel weighs a little over 7 pounds a gallon, I think. And so you figure you got 100 gallons. Let's just say it's 7 pounds per gallon. Then you're looking at 700 pounds with 100 gallons of fuel. So I mean, you may be overweight when you leave the shipper, but the scale is not going to be for a couple 100 miles or whatever it is. And then you can kind of figure out what your weight's going to be. We got a little windy out here. And dusty, look at that. So that's something to consider. So when you go to move these, then you want to make darn sure that, it's where it's going to be and it's the weight you want, because it's not going to change. It's going to be the weight. So here, let me show you what this looks like. So you can go here, and I know there's There's hooks and things you can use so you're not bending over and having to reach under here to pull this out. It might save your back. Hopefully, if everything's in good working order, you should be able to take it to that notch. See that notch right there? I don't know if you can see it, but there's a notch and it sits right in there. And once that happens, then it's where it needs to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this. I'm not going into California, but I'll just move it. I'll move these axles one hole forward, which should shift somewhere around 350 pounds, I think. That'll shift it to these axles because it's going to go forward. And then that's going to take that much weight off of those axles there, the drive axle. So let me show you how that goes. So you can see that the notches, or actually the pins, have not popped in. So I'm going to have to move it just a hair to get those to pop in. Well, by sheer luck, I actually got that to line right up to the hole. Generally, that's not what happens. It doesn't line up, and you land up having to undo the lever here and then go in and slowly move it where it pops into the hole. This particular time, it actually worked. They do have a thing, I think you can buy it on Amazon, like a plug that you put in here. And by doing that, you can slide up to that and do a pretty good job of only having to get out maybe once, and well, once to get it into that spot, and then the second time to make sure this lever's in. So when you're sliding the tandems, you need the wheels to be locked up in the back. You can either dump all the air going to the trailer and move it like that, or if you've got one of these trailer brakes, sometimes they're here, sometimes they're up here on the column. You just grab that and give it a pull. The only problem with dumping the air and just letting the safety brakes engage is that if you've got a stubborn one that doesn't want to move, you might actually have to get rolling a little bit and then engage the brake. Well, it's hard to do when you're trying to use this. So hopefully you just have one of these trailer brakes. So it really is just as simple as that. I mean, just basically pull the bar. The pins will either pop out on their own if it's a nice new trailer, or if they're older, then you may have to kind of move back and forth a little bit and get them to pop in because they're like spring loaded. And then, like for me, it just automatically went in the hole. Most of the time, that's not what's going to happen. It's going to land up being in between, which you'll have to go out, take the lever, pop it in, and then just slowly go in the direction you want to go until it pops into the hole, and you'll feel the whole truck will stop. And then you give it a couple of tugs to make sure that, you know, those pins are all the way out. And then you go out and make sure that the handle is put back into the spot. You want to make sure the handle is put back in the spot, because if you rely on the fact that, oh, well, all those pins popped in, it's going to be fine. Yeah, you might find yourself with axles detached from the trailer. And I've seen it before where they've literally just forgotten, left that thing wide open, hit the brakes, and then wham, they just shoot out the back. We had a Sam's DC where somebody had done that. I don't think it was a Walmart driver, it was somebody else, but they hit the brakes and just pulled those axles right out from underneath the truck. So it's worth the time to get out and go make sure that thing's back in its cradle and all those pins are back out. And I'll give you this little hint too. If you're going to get a job at Walmart, you better make sure on your pre-trip that those pins, all of them, are out and that handle is in the right spot, because I'm pretty sure it's an automatic fail. So a little tip there if you're going to do your test there to get a job here at Walmart. So all right, well, that's what I got for you today, and hopefully it's helpful, and I will catch you guys next time.